Well, guys, the Boston Celtics are officially eliminated from the 2026 NBA playoffs as they blow a 3-1 series lead in the first round versus the Philadelphia 76ers. They lose game 7 at home. Just no words for it, really, just embarrassing. It's been a couple days since the loss. I've been taking it pretty hard. It's worse than a normal loss, right? It's worse than a normal playoff loss, right? A normal game 7 loss just because you blew a 3-1 lead to a 7 seed. I know maybe they're not a real 7 seed. Maybe they should have been a 5 seed, a 4 or 5 seed because, Paul George missed a lot of games, Embiid missed a lot of games, and Embiid, missed some of the series, and you could say. But I don't care. The Celtics are the better team. They are the better team than the Sixers team, and the fact that they blew a 3-1 lead, it's awful. I would have rather gotten swept, honestly, than blew a 3-1 lead. It's truly awful. But this video, this podcast, we're basically just gonna talk about the future of the Boston Celtics. How they can get back to being championship contenders. Because obviously the last couple years we fell short, and we haven't gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals since 2024 when we went all the way and won the championship. First things first, obviously, a lot of people talking about Derek White. Derek White, a really rough season for him. Shot 39%, career low, 32% from three. His worst shooting performances as a Celtic. His 3 prior years with us, he shot 40% or 40% from three. So to see him, shoot that bad this year, it was a really tough thing to see. So I really think that Boston will look into trading him this offseason. As a Derek White fan, I don't think that they should trade him. I love Derek White. I love what he's brought to Boston. Not only, prior to this year has he shot the ball well, but just everything he adds defensively and with his hustle plays, getting big rebounds, like always, giving the extra effort. You know, I don't want to see them trade Derek White after one bad season. I do hope that we hold on to him. If he has another really bad year next year, then okay, I get it. Maybe we should trade Derek White, but I think that he could definitely have a bounce back year. I definitely don't think we should trade him. I do think it's not a bad idea to explore the trades, see what you can get, but I don't think that you're gonna get, somebody that plays the game of basketball as hard as Derek White does. I just don't think you get that in return. So hopefully we keep Derek White. Obviously, I know a lot of other people are talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo. People want to see Giannis get traded to the Boston Celtics. That would obviously be crazy if Giannis and Tatum were teamed up, but you know what that would mean? It would mean we would have to probably trade Jaylen Brown in order to get Giannis. The Bucks are not going to take anything less than Jaylen Brown and probably other assets with him, whether that be a Peyton Pritchard, a Derek White, a Hugo Gonzalez, a Jordan Walsh, first round picks, right? I just don't want to see that happen. Giannis is an incredible player. He's an NBA champion. He is an MVP. He's a defensive player of the year. Obviously, if we traded for him, maybe we could make a run at another championship. I know we, sacrificed Marcus Smart and Robert Williams to win that first championship, but I just don't think it's worth it to sacrifice Jaylen Brown, sacrifice the Jays. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're going to play their 9th season together next year. I just don't want to see that end. I've watched these guys their entire careers, as, Celtics. So I just don't want to see that happen. There's always the narrative of, oh, Jaylen Brown's the better player than Tatum. Tatum's the better player than Brown. Even Celtics fans say that. And it's just like, why can't we just appreciate Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? I don't understand why we have to pick between the two. You don't have to do that. And then there's the narrative, oh, Jaylen Brown doesn't like playing with Tatum. He doesn't like Tatum. Tatum doesn't like Brown, doesn't like playing with Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum only came back this year because Jaylen Brown was playing really well as the number one option, and he didn't want to see him succeed. Like, that is just so bogus. Like, and obviously it's all like ESPN media, people that are just fishing for storylines. But it's just so annoying that we've had to deal with, should the Celtics break the Jays up for like the past 5 years? I think since 2021 we've been having this conversation, and it's been spread all around the media, ESPN, and whatnot. I'm just so sick of it. Like, they've won a championship in 2024. They've shown you they can get to the tippy top and win together. They obviously can do it again. They just need the right pieces around them, right? The right pieces around them, like Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford. Those guys were the right pieces around them. We just need to find that again. I don't think that it's going to be that difficult to do. That obviously could still be the team today if it wasn't for the CBA. We could still have Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis. We could still have Al Horford. But obviously, rules change. We couldn't maintain all those players, and it sucks to see because if we had those players, I definitely think we would have handled Philadelphia in 4 or 5 games, and probably got revenge on the Knicks with Jason Tatum. Um, so yeah, I definitely think that if we can put the right guys around the Jays, they can definitely make another run at a championship in the near future. Like these guys are not 30 years old yet. They have, in my opinion, they definitely have a lot left in the tank. I know Tatum just tore his Achilles, but he looked amazing coming back from his Achilles tear. And that's another thing. A lot of people want to say Jason Tatum ruined the chemistry of what Boston had because he decided to come back this year. They were winning games before he came back and when he came back. They were great both times. So that narrative is another one that I just, quite frankly, just don't understand. Jason Tatum, you know, I think made everybody better when he came back because we really benefited from getting him back in his rebounding ability, right? Like averaging 10 rebounds a game, his playmaking ability. Outside of Derek White, he is our best playmaker. Actually, probably is a better playmaker than Derek White, if I'm being honest with you. So I just don't understand why people are making up these false narratives. The Sixers, they were the better team in the series. I'll admit that. They outplayed Boston for 3 straight games. You can't really get lucky doing that. The Celtics gave them, 3 games in a row. They blew the 13-point lead in Game 5 at home. You just can't do that. You can't do that. Game 6, you get embarrassed. Game 7, there's no Tatum. Obviously, maybe if we have Tatum, we win that game. But I'm not really want to sit here and have that conversation. But Game 7, they show a little bit of fight, but in the end, they can't make shots. They can't make 3-point shots, right? I mean, that's what it came down to. Not being able to hit threes, and Joe Mazzulla wanting to live and die by the three. And obviously that just didn't pay off, right? Vucevic, no minutes in Game 7. But, how do we make this Celtics team better going forward is the question. I think it starts with getting a center, right? I think that Neemias Queta had a tremendous season. Definitely could have been a most improved player candidate. I think he was averaging about 10 points, 9 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. Just was great all year for us. But at the end of the day, his inexperience in that moment, in those playoff moments, costed him because he kept getting into foul trouble early on. He was fouling Embiid. And that obviously, that hurt us a lot because Vucevic was really bad. Offensively and defensively, he's just not a good player. I definitely want to see him go. I don't think the Celtics will have any interest in re-signing him. Luka Garza, who had a really solid year, he stepped up this year as the backup big. He got his minutes kind of taken by Vucevic when Vucevic got traded. But, I thought Garza tried to hold his own, but at the end of the day, it's Joel Embiid. Like, Garza, same as Kata, just not really made for that moment yet. Like, these guys are inexperienced when it comes to that. The difference between having an Al Horford or Kristaps Porzingis, those guys are experienced and knew how to deal, with those situations. It's just completely different. So, how do the Celtics get better this offseason? I think it is to get a center. Whether that is free agency or they make a trade, I think we need another center. I am perfectly fine with keeping Kata and Garza, but I think we need a new big. Looking at some of these free agents, Isaiah Hartenstein, I think he's probably going to end up going back to the Thunder. But he would be a really nice addition to this team if we could get Isaiah Hartenstein. Yusuf Nurkic, I don't really love too much. Battles a lot of injuries. He's getting a little older. Mitchell Robinson would be solid, but I don't really love Mitchell Robinson as a starting center. Maybe he could come off the bench, but I don't know. Robert Williams is here as well. That would be super cool to see Robert Williams come back to the squad. I would really love that, right? If Robert Williams was back in green, I think a lot of people would. But the only problem is he's very similar to Neemias Queta. Great shot blocking ability, great athleticism, but he is very injury prone. And, he's obviously a big that, although has improved his 3-point shooting, he can't really stretch the floor too much. I would like to see Boston get a stretch 5. I know Luka Garza is a stretch 5, but I don't think Luka Garza, like we saw, is ready for those moments in the playoffs. So, who is a stretch 5 we could get? Do we bring back Al Horford? He's a player option with Golden State. I'm assuming he's just going to opt into that. It'll probably be his last year if I had to take a guess. We're not going to get Al Horford back. It's not going to happen. But yeah, if there's a guy we could go out and get, preferably, in my opinion, a stretch 5. I don't know who that would be. Maybe it's a Naz Reid from Minnesota. I think that could work. Maybe it's Bobby Portis from Milwaukee. I would love a 5 that could shoot the ball because that obviously is Boston's identity, shooting the ball. Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford, I know I've been talking about them, but they both could shoot the ball, obviously. So, they played right into Joe Mazzulla's, game plan, the way he likes to operate. Neemias Queta can't really do that. If we brought back Robert Williams, he can't really do that. So I think trading for a stretch big or signing a stretch big is the first priority for this team, and then having Neemias Queta and Luka Garza still on the squad, but get a new starting center. The other thing I think that they should do is maybe look into getting a new starting point guard. That does not mean get rid of Derek White. Like I said, I think they should keep Derek White. But Derek White thrives, in my opinion, as a two guard, right? He, before this year was a two guard. Whether it was with Drew Holiday or Marcus Smart, they were both the primary point guards. Derek White was the shooting guard, right? And I know Derek White, he takes some playmaking responsibilities. This is a guy who can average 5 assists for you, but I think he's just more comfortable in that two guard role, and maybe that's why he didn't really succeed this year. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that too much, but maybe that is a factor. Peyton Pritchard, I know started point guard for a little bit this year, but he's ultimately came off the bench for us, and I want to see that continue. I want Peyton Pritchard to continue to come off the bench for us. I think he's just a primary sixth man. I think that's the role that he plays. I don't really think he should be the starting point guard for this team. He's not too much of a playmaker as well. He's more of a scorer. He's more of a two guard. Can obviously handle the ball, but he's just more of a scorer, right? We need more of a playmaking defensive guard, right? And I think Drew Holiday obviously was perfect for that role. It just sucks at the CBA we had to get rid of him. I'm looking right now at some free agency options at the point guard position, and obviously this is tough because Boston doesn't have money. Like Jaylen Brown just had to make $300 million each. Derek White makes $30 million. It's hard to find guys that you can afford, and obviously Brad Stevens is a wizard. If anyone can do it, he can do it. But once again, it might come down to making a trade for somebody. So obviously there's like Trae Young on a player option. Obviously I think he's gonna stay with the Wizards, and quite frankly he doesn't fit the mold of what I'm talking about. Marcus Smart as a player option, he's really played well with the Lakers. I think he's probably gonna stay with Los Angeles. It would be cool to get Marcus Smart back as well as Robert Williams, but I don't think we should live in the past. I think we should try to stay in the future. Not a ton of great options here. But if there's a guy we could go out and trade for that can be the primary point guard, let Derek White play in that two guard role, and get a guy like similar to Drew Holiday, a guy that's very defensive minded but also a great playmaker, just has a great mind and a great feel for the game. I don't really have a comparison at the top of my head. If you guys do, comment it down below. But I just feel like adding another point guard that can take the primary ball handling responsibilities, let Derek White get open, find his shot this year, and obviously have a little bit of ball handling there too as well and playmaking, but like not be the primary point guard, right? I think that's probably the issue that went on with him this year. Maybe he was trying to focus too much on that and he just couldn't shoot the ball. I'm not too sure, but I think getting a stretch big center and then getting a point guard that can start on this team, I think those are the two things Boston really only has to do. I definitely want to see Joe Mazzulla still coach this team. I know a lot of people are calling for his head. They want him gone. They want him fired. It's just unnecessary. 4 straight seasons with 55-plus wins. Like, nobody's doing that, right? Steve Kerr may be back with the super team of Golden State, but nobody is doing that. Like, it is crazy impressive. And you can say what you want. He got outcoached, whatever. Mazzulla, he's won a championship. I've seen him, have insane games as the head coach. For this team, whether that's regular season or in the playoffs. I don't want to see him go. I think that he should remain the head coach. I just think the Celtics need to add a stretch big center and a new point guard that can, help Derek White go back, slide back into his, shooting guard role. I really think that's all Boston needs. I think they have the depth pieces, right? They have a cheap rotation. When you talk about Baylor Shireman, cheap deal. Obviously, he's still on his rookie deal. Hugo Gonzalez, cheap rookie deal. Jordan Walsh, enters the last year of his deal next year. He's on a team option. Like Neemias Queta, they have so many guys. Luka Garza, a lot of rotational guys. Ron Harper that can play next year. I just think it's literally comes down to getting a stretch big that can shoot the ball but can also play good defense, right, for situations where you play a Joel Embiid in the playoffs. Maybe you play a Karl Anthony Towns, whatever it is. And then you get a point guard who can take some of the responsibility off the shoulders of Derek White, allow him to be the two. A guy similar to Drew Holiday, right? Like, not have a complete copy and paste of the 2024 team, but something similar, because clearly that worked. They won 16 out of 19 games in that postseason. If you can get back to playing that type of basketball, I think the Celtics will succeed next year. Obviously, 2025, the Tatum Achilles tear was brutal. The two 20-point blown leads against New York, and then this year blowing a 3-1 lead. It's been rough as a Celtics fan, but you just have to look at the bright side. Like, there is a bright side. Like, it might not look like it now, but let Brad Stevens cook this offseason. Let him make some moves, right? Whether that's trades, free agency, pickups. I think Brad, will make the right moves, in order to get this team back to competing for a championship, in order to go back to conference finals, in order to go back to NBA finals, in order to win more NBA finals. And I don't think that is with trading for a Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think that is with trading Derek White. I think we keep the core guys. We keep Derek White. We keep Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard. I think those guys stay. As for guys I think, could be moved, I would say Sam Hauser is a guy. I don't really love his contract. I didn't really love it when they offered it to him. He still has, I think, 3 years left. It's, I think, about 10 plus million, so maybe we could get something with that, plus the exception we have. Maybe we can pair that up with some picks, and maybe that's how we get a point guard. Maybe that's how we get a stretch big. I think that Sam Hauser could be a valuable trade asset, not because that he's some great player, but because of the contract. And what we can do to pair it with exceptions. So that's the one guy I do want to see Boston move on from this offseason. I love what he's given us. He's a great 3-point shooter, but he's just so hit or miss. He's probably one of the worst defensive players on our team. So I think that we've had enough of Sam Hauser. I think we could also easily replace him with a guy in free agency. Like Luke Kennard is a free agent. He's played really well for the Lakers. Maybe like a Kevin Huerter. I think there's guys. Sam Hauser is the definition of a replaceable guy, in my opinion. I don't mean that with disrespect, but we have a lot of guys on our team who I feel like you can't replace. Like Derek White, you can't replace his hustle, his defensive ability. You can't replace the Jays. Like you can't replace Peyton Pritchard and his ability to come off the bench and score and create his own shot. But Sam Hauser, that's a replaceable guy, and I think that Boston should trade him, package him with an exception that we have, and either try to get a stretch big, like I said, or try to get a point guard for this team. I think that's what they should do. But other than that, that's the suggestions I have for Boston this offseason. I know that Aaron Gordon was in talks of being traded by Denver, and Boston, has interest. I don't really see how that helps us too much. Aaron Gordon's not a center, although I think Aaron Gordon would fit with our team. I don't know what we'd have to trade. I don't want to trade Derek White for Aaron Gordon. I would be beside myself if that was the case. If it's Sam Hauser and an exception, okay, but I still don't think it solves our issue of needing a point guard and needing a stretch big center. Like, he's not either of those. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we don't trade for Aaron Gordon. I hope Brad Stevens realizes that's not really what we need on this team, and that we actually he focuses on what we do need, and that's a point guard and a center. But other than that, that's all the suggestions I have for the Celtics going into the offseason. Obviously, we got to finish out the playoffs. It's 5 months until Celtics basketball starts back up. That's going to be pretty depressing. That's what sucks about losing so early in the season. Like when the Celtics won in 2024, they played all the way till close to the end of June, right? And then it's like you don't have to wait that long until the next season starts up. But losing, in early May, it's brutal. But we will get back to seeing Celtics basketball soon enough, and hopefully when we do, we see a bit of a different team, that can hopefully do what we did in 2024, and that is, win the NBA championship. So, yeah, guys, that's all I have for this first episode here on the channel. Just wanted to touch up on the loss of the Sixers and then talk about what I think should happen going forward. But if you guys like this video and this podcast format, make sure to leave a like down below, comment down below your thoughts on the Celtics right now, on what you think they should do in this offseason, trades they should make, signings they should make, and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the video. If you guys like it, like I said, subscribe, comment down below. See you in the next one.